What's up, everybody? So I got to start with a big clarification, a clarification that is important for all of us moving forward. And that is the fact that this is going to make you a little bit uncomfortable. But all of us have been lied to. We've been lied to by gurus on LinkedIn. We've been lied to by our peers, by colleagues, by marketers, by strategists, maybe even by some people who you look up to in the industry. You may have even been lied to in the last few months by somebody that you love, somebody that you care about. I know back in the day, when I go back into time, there were lies that I was told. One of them in particular that stuck with me for quite some time was this idea that if you swallow bubble gum, it's going to stick in your stomach for like 7 years. Not true. That was a lie. Another lie was this idea that if you drive around with the dome light on in your car, you could get arrested. Also not true. It was a lie. Another lie that I see pretty much shared on LinkedIn, on X, on Facebook, on TikTok, in emails every single day is this idea that AI written content, that AI supported emails, that drip campaigns using email with AI, none of it works, that this will never drive results. And I believe it to be a flat out lie. But I don't just believe that you should read a headline or hear that something is a lie and go along with it. I believe you have to do your own research. So I did some research, and I'm excited today to share with you some of the research around AI written content and why it can work and how it can work. I went back to a website called CNET, and I wanted to understand the content that they had been producing for the last couple of years with AI to better understand whether or not this content actually drove results. When AI first hit the web, they created hundreds of pieces of content with AI. They used AI to write hundreds of pieces of content, and the results were quite interesting. One of the things that got a lot of writers, a lot of marketers happy and excited was the fact that they had errors. There were issues with the content. There were mistakes in it. They had to create corrections. They had to update, and the media had a frenzy with this. The rumor had it that CNET had shut it all down. That yes, they created this content with AI, but unfortunately, that AI content was bad. It was horrible. The media wrote about it. Journalists were writing about it. Marketers, writers, everybody was applauding, saying, "Yay, humans, we're going to last forever." But I wanted to see if this content that they wrote with AI, even with the errors, drove results. So I put on my pea coat and I decided that I was going to be Sherlock Homeboy. This is kind of my alias when I'm doing research. I always like to refer to myself as Sherlock Homeboy. So I went into my Sherlock Homeboy case and I was going to reverse engineer the traffic to all of these AI related assets. And it turned out that those assets were generating millions of annual visits, and they were created with AI. 2,400 backlinks. The total traffic value of this content was over $16 million. So yes, AI made some mistakes. Yes, there were some errors in the content, but this content was worth a ridiculous amount of money. And this, to me, is why I think truly that AI is doing to white collar jobs, to all of us, what robotics has long done to blue collar jobs. We are going through one of the most fascinating times as marketers. When you look at algorithms, they're changing daily. The ability to reach somebody's inbox is harder than ever before. Google has become a destination. A lot of us feel like we're at risk of losing our jobs, especially when you look at content writers, email marketers. AI has become a threat, right? And job descriptions are chaotic. They're looking for you to have experience with PPC, with email marketing, with branding, with social media, content strategy, Jasper, Twitter, PR, design, all of this in 6 years experience for a tool that came out last week, right? It's absolute wild. Emails are being sent. Budgets are being cut. We have a ton of brands who have expectations of Barbie productions with Ken budgets, and it is absolute chaos. Remember back in 2019, it was so good. It was so easy. It felt easy to be a marketer, right? We had it smooth. Today, 2025, 2026, how do you navigate this chaos? How do you navigate it? My goal today is simple. I want to give you a framework that you can apply to your email marketing strategies, that you can apply to your overarching marketing strategies so you can win. And sprinkle AI on all of it. Now, if I was to ask you, you looked at that chart a few slides back where it talked about how many marketers think they're at risk and content writers and email marketers being at the top. I'd be curious how many of you think that AI could take your job? Because if you don't believe that, that's okay. Because my hope today is to make you not believe that you can be replaced by AI, but to at least accept the fact that AI should be augmenting you. because we can't do what AI can do at the rate in which it can do it. And there's certain things that AI can't do that we can do. You can't do AI like a Sudoku faster than an AI. It's absolutely impossible. There's a lot of things that you can't do as fast as an AI can. In fact, right now there's an AI, there's like this app that I saw recently where, is anyone familiar with like Where's Waldo? So Where's Waldo, one of my favorite books as a kid growing up. Love those books. There's this app in your phone where you can like hold it over a Where's Waldo book and it will scan it and it will find Waldo, right? Like it's crazy. That gets rid of the whole satisfaction of being able to say, I found Waldo. Hey, mom, check this out. I found Waldo. Like it's gone. That's AI, right? So here's what I want you all to do. We're going to run an experiment. I want you to find a notepad, pull out a piece of paper, open up a notes section, come back to this tab, whatever it might be, open up a Google Doc, open up something. And I'm going to show you a picture. And I want you to write down how many animals you see in that photo. And I'm going to change the slide in the moment it would have taken an AI to answer that question. All right, you ready? Cool, here we go. So first up, how many muffins do you see versus chihuahuas? The AI got it. How many bagels do you see versus dogs? The AI got it. How many pieces of fried chicken versus puppies? The AI got it. How many sloths versus pastries? The AI got it. There was 8 muffins, 6 bagels, 6 pieces of chicken, 8 pastries, and the AI wouldn't have gotten hungry. Folks, this is why we are in turmoil, right? We are in turmoil because AI can do these things quicker than us, right? AI can do this. So this is what my challenge is to you. It's to embrace the fundamentals of what makes good email marketers great. Storytelling, taste, understanding the psychology of a human, understanding the importance of recognizing that the way in which you capture emails doesn't need to be exclusively a linear path, but it can be one rooted in research, rooted in distribution, and going into channels where your audience is, right? This is what I want you to remember. This is something that I've also been preaching for quite some time. Let me take you back into time. 2018, 2019, 2020. I was telling marketers, I've been telling people for years that you need to stop viewing Google as exclusively a place that sends you emails, sends you traffic, but instead view it as a destination. Google is becoming a destination. So what I want all of you to do is to recognize that when you are thinking about your strategy to acquire more emails, that you don't limit yourself to just one platform, that you embrace this idea that is really starting to show up everywhere, which is Quora, Reddit, LinkedIn, YouTube. These sites are being cited in Google AI overviews. As AI starts to become a discovery mechanism, we're seeing these niche sites show up more and more. So what does it mean for you? It means that these are places that you should be. And you might be thinking, just like this slide says, I wish someone told us about this back in the day. Someone tried. It was me. I had no hair on my face, but I was running around to events telling people, folks, this is what you need to do. And today, I'm telling you again that Google has become a destination. So I need you to think about your email acquisition strategies to be outside of just a singular channel. Let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to the world in which content marketing, email marketing wasn't just about creating a bunch of content, wasn't just about let's use AI to produce a bunch of emails. It was about the marketing part of our craft, right? Where we research our audience to understand their pains, the stories they resonate, the channels they're on, where we understand the problems that they have, we understand the content they care about. We create great content. We distribute it through channels like email, but we optimize that based off of data and research and insights, and we sprinkle AI on top of all of it. Folks, you can use AI today to do ridiculous research. You can go to AI right now and you can say, hey, ChatGPT, I want you to do some research surrounding the industry of fitness and identify 20 email newsletters that have an opportunity for me to sponsor them online, for us to promote our newsletter in. And guess what you're going to be met with? If you use deep research, it's going to do 135 searches for you. It's going to go to a bunch of different URLs. It's going to find their sponsor pages, and it's going to give you the URL, the emails of the places you need to go to apply. In the future, you're going to be able to have an agent actually click those buttons for you and apply on your behalf. Folks, I want you to be curious. I want you to keep showing up for events like Guru Conference so you can stay at the edge of this shift, right? You have to always be embracing your own inner Sherlock homeboy. For example, what I love to do is to rely on the human elements of our craft to be great. What does that mean? It means we have to be willing to get out of the dashboards and to use taste, to go to YouTube and start to browse around and see like what is best practice. Let's pretend that I had a new business. I'm going into gardening. I'm creating a new website. It's called Ross's Garden, right? Where I'm going to teach people how to do gardening, and I'm building an email newsletter, right? How do I attract these people? How do I attract people who are interested in gardening? Well, I might go to YouTube to learn what content market fit looks like, to see that people are interested in this thing called propagation, right? I don't have a green thumb, so I don't know what propagation might even mean, but I'm going to look into this and I'm going to say propagating basil, 350,000 views. That's interesting. Let's go deeper. Let's now go to my keyword research tool and see, oh, this query about propagation is significant. Maybe I can start to create a bunch of content about propagating succulents, propagating pothos, propagating rosemary, lavender even. And then maybe I'll say, let's dive a little bit deeper to see what Google is saying about this. Oh, lots of people are typing in things about propagating lavender. This is interesting. So I go a little bit deeper and I find out that propagating lavender as a concept, as a video asset, can generate over 455,000 views. And while the total search volume might only be $390 a month, and the total cost per click is only $2.83, and the keyword tools are telling me it might not be worth it, if I can get 93,000 views, 177,000 views on a video, and then in the description of that video or in the video, I can tell people, hey, why don't you check out my newsletter below? And I can have a call to action directly in my description, I can win, right? What percentage of those viewers can I drive to subscribe? This is the way it's done. We need to be okay doing research. A lot of brands are investing thousands of dollars into things that might not make as much sense as they did before. When you look at Google becoming a destination and you see sites like G2 losing tons of traffic, TrustRadius losing tons of traffic, Capterra losing tons of traffic, but Reddit on the rise, I can't help but question, why aren't we embracing the data that tells us that we should be changing our behaviors? That maybe we should be trying to use Reddit to capture more emails. Maybe we should be using Reddit to influence the LLMs, right? When we see that YouTube is being cited by the LLMs, that when we see that YouTube is being cited more frequently in all of them except for ChatGPT, because they have kind of a little bit of beef, when we see that, maybe we should shift our approach. When we see that citations are including a LinkedIn source, that maybe we should tap into that LinkedIn newsletter feature, and maybe we could repurpose that and use it to bring people back to our list. Maybe if we notice that citations on some of these other sites are lower in the LLMs, we should adjust our strategies. Maybe we should go back to the best practices of marketing and embrace the idea of researching our audience, researching our channels, and researching the ways in which we influence people before making decisions. And then when we start to create, we don't just think linearly. And we think, oh, as an email marketer, the only thing that I should ever create or the only thing that I should ever even talk about is the words that go into the email. No, maybe we should be thinking about how can we create content as an organization, as a brand, as a business, as a creator, to really tap into the fact that YouTube is being cited by the LLMs, right? Remember this strategy that we talked about around propagation? Let's pretend again that I have this set up. Let's pretend I have this channel and I want to create a video about propagating lavender, right? So I'm going to look at thumbnail best practices, look around, and I'm like, okay, I think I can beat these. I'm going to upload a headshot to AI and I'm going to say, hey, ChatGPT, take these headshots from me and turn them into a YouTube thumbnail image where I'm propagating lavender, right? And then it creates it for me. Then I might think to myself, that's weird. Why am I wearing a Coogee sweater? That doesn't make any sense. So can you change that and put me into something that's a little bit more gardening? And then it does this. Absolute gold, right? And you might be thinking, Ross, that looks nothing like you. Well, it looks pretty close. And remember, this is the worst that AI will ever be, right? And then I say, hey, ChatGPT, could you please create for me a YouTube script that I can use to read this and like create the actual video? And then I get lazy. I get the script. I'm like, this is great. This looks good, but I don't have time for that. So I go over to a tool like HeyGen and I say, hey, can you create this for me?
Hey,
and it does.
Welcome back to the channel. Or if it's your first time here, I'm Ross Simmons. And today we're diving into something super simple, but really rewarding. How to propagate lavender at home. Whether you've got a full garden or just a sunny windowsill, you'll be able to grow your own lavender from cuttings, and there's no green thumb required. If you've ever bought lavender plants year after year, Stop. In this video, I'll show you how to make one plant turn into many, and it'll cost you next to nothing.
I never said those words. I never recorded that video. That was all AI. And now we have the ability to take that exact same video, translate it into Mandarin, to Spanish, to French, to German, to Italian, or more, using a tool like Descript. What I want you to do, again, is to understand that you can use best practices. You can leverage and tap into the way in which brands like SEMrush, GitHub are using YouTube to capture emails, and you can replicate that with your own approach. You no longer need to view YouTube as this scary thing where I don't have time and resources to create great thumbnails. You can do this in seconds now, right? And if you want to do this at scale, look at opportunities like the folks at HubSpot who are engaging actual creators, people who understand the craft to create these stories, right? And there are tools like Singulate that give you the ability to create emails at scale, right? When I see these types of opportunities, I can't help but think, wow, we are going through one of the best times in marketing, where with Singulate, you're able to have A/B tests running different sections of your email that are rooted directly into your personas and the email list that you are reaching out to. So if you have marketers on one list, salespeople on one list, e-commerce on one list, SaaS on another, product managers on another, you can use tools like Singulate to send out tailored messages to the groups and the people that are relevant to the message. This is the power of AI, folks. And when we look at all of this and we see that Reddit is showing up, maybe we should be thinking about how we can remix the best content on Reddit to fit our needs. Again, I think everything is a remix. In fact, that idea of remixing is a remix of something that I've preached again since 2019. Don't just steal ideas. What I want you to do is get inspired by them and use those to create better content. Let's say, for example, we run a restaurant or we created the next TripAdvisor. We're trying to go on into the food world and we want to create content about food. So I'm going to go find the best content in Reddit about food. And I find this piece about the New York Pier Tier 1 pizza list. Very interesting, right? So I see this piece and I'm like, okay, this is cool. It's in-depth. It's well-researched. People love it. So what am I going to do as a creator? I'm going to say, this is what people want. This is content market fit. Has tons of upvotes, tons of comments. It's ranking. People love this. So I'm going to take that same idea and apply it to every single state, every single province, and I'm going to create content on that topic. And this isn't just theory, folks. I did this. I wrote a piece in Halifax, where I live, about the best pizza shops in Halifax. And the post got over 100 upvotes, 40,000 views. And if I wanted to, and I ran a website dedicated to food, I could add a link in there telling people to sign up to my email newsletter where I break down the best food restaurants every single month, right? Research, create, distribute. That's the next step. When you're trying to distribute your email list, when you're trying to acquire more emails, don't be afraid to repurpose the things that you've done. I've done this with blog posts. I talk about it in depth in my book, Create Once, Distribute Forever, about creating one podcast episode, creating one Twitter thread, creating one LinkedIn update, and then turning it into multiple assets. Taking a podcast that you've created and turning it into a bunch of different clips. Taking a podcast, a YouTube video, uploading it to a tool like distribution.ai, and allowing that to repackage your content into blog posts, into emails, into social posts, to give you the shortcut to then share it on Hacker News, to share it on Reddit. You can repurpose your content for email using tools like distribution.ai, where every blog post that your team may have produced, every YouTube video, every podcast, every webinar, every asset that has been produced can be uploaded and then turned into an email that you can then rewrite. I think the human touch is still important, but you can still sprinkle your touch on it and then share that with your list, right? You can use tools like Runway ML to turn images into video. You can use tools like 11 Labs to create a synthetic version of your voice. You can use 11 Labs to create podcasts that you never even speak on, right? Or you can use tools like HeyGen or DID to create images and videos that come to life. You have to ask, what's next? AI hosted webinars? No, I'm a human. This is really me. Like I'm not AI. But this is the world that we're going into, where you'll be able to send an avatar to take a call. You'll listen to a podcast thinking it's real, it's an AI. These are things that we're going to run into. And what I encourage you to do is to remember not to lose that human touch, because it is super important, but to embrace AI to distribute your content, to embrace AI to take a bunch of your best pieces, your best assets, and ask it to replicate them. And then use tools like Canva with their data import function to be able to create content at scale, where you can say, hey, I want you to take all of the things in this spreadsheet. I want those quotes to become quotes, just like email. I want our handle to become handle, right? Those inputs change, but maybe I don't like that image. So I go and I find something that looks a little bit more like Mad Men. I'm like, this is great. This is cool. Midjourney, can you describe this to give me a good prompt? It gives me a good prompt. I'm like, I want to add some melanin. I get a bunch of these different new visuals that'll look a little bit more like me. They're created. And then I'm like, cool, this is awesome. Let's schedule these to go out. They go live, 20 minutes, 30 new followers, 18,000 impressions. You might be thinking, Ross, but that's not quality. You're losing the craft. You might think that. But there are hundreds of thousands of people subscribed to YouTube channels, following Facebook pages that are AI generated content. There are in-depth channels that are breaking down history with thousands of subscribers, because AI content can work. You just have to embrace the fundamentals of really knowing your audience, creating with excellence, and then rooting it in that. And then after you produce content, create a checklist. Create a checklist to avoid content debt, whether it's your email strategy, whether it's your blog strategy, your YouTube strategy. Embrace a model like this. This is a checklist that we use at Foundation with all of our clients. Whenever we're optimizing their on-site content, we use this. So screenshot it, steal it, make it your own. But we use this to ensure that we're always winning. Our clients are always having great content instead of catching content debt. And then this model of generative engine optimization is something that we embrace every single day, where we have to now optimize for the LLMs. And there's a few things that you can do to do that, and email is a key part of it. But with all of this, folks, I know you might be wondering, where do I get started? I want you to first take a step back and recognize what the future is going to look like. The future for discovery is going to look a lot more robotic, where instead of me just going around and clicking and signing up for email newsletters, I'm going to tell an AI agent to sign me up for the newsletters that are interesting to me. I'm going to tell an AI agent to go and find me front row tickets that are season long ticket holder, like for the Philadelphia Eagles game. And it's going to go out and find that for me. It's going to find lower bowl season tickets on my behalf. And eventually it's going to be able to check out for me. So what I encourage you to do, folks, is simple. Embrace this framework. Steal it, use it, print it off, send it to your team, put it on your desk, or read the book, Create Once, Distribute Forever, where I dive into it deeper. And right now you might be thinking, where in the world do I start? Folks, it's simple. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. You need to create ridiculously good content. Rewrite it, repackage it, reshare it, add a new flair, add a new twist, and distribute it forever. This is the idea that I've been preaching for a long time. I'm excited to share that it's in my book. I encourage you to check it out. Buy for a colleague or a peer who's struggling with the idea of being more places, and embrace this framework. Because I hope truly that if one idea sticks with you today, it would be the idea that we all have the responsibility of doing two things. One, we have the responsibility with the rise of AI to take care of the way in which we're communicating, to use it with responsibility, and to understand the influences that we have on real people every single day. But also to remember that as an industry, we have a craft. And that craft is not just email, it's not just content, it's marketing. It's marketing rooted in psychology, it's marketing rooted in pain, it's marketing rooted in understanding our customer. And if that sticks with you, you will win. And my hope is that it sticks with you longer than if you swallowed a piece of bubble gum. Thank you so much. You've been great. I'd be happy to chat a little bit more. Let's dive in.
All right. What's up, Guru Crew? It has been an amazing event so far. And thanks so much for hanging in there and attending this session. I know it's been a very long couple of days, right? My name is Lauren Meyer. I am the CMO for Socket Labs and founder of Send It Right, which is a newsletter and website dedicated to making deliverability fun, yet still educational. I am super excited to jump into the questions that you all shared in the chat. So thanks for that. But quickly, please be sure to participate in the poll on the right of your screen to let Ross know how much you appreciated this session. You will also find a free offer pinned to the chat, and the deck for today's presentation and an AI recap, speaking of AI, will also be available at the bottom of your screen if you scroll down. So Ross, thanks so much for being here. Your session was awesome.
Thank you, Lauren. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, we have a lot of questions, so I think we should just jump right into it,
Let's
right?
do it.
All right. So, first off, the first question that popped in was with GDPR compliance and firewalls in B2B, how do you get your emails through? Half of mine are going to spam.
Yeah, it's definitely tough now more than ever with the rise of AI filtering, with G Suite, with all of the different platforms. It's not easy. The best thing you can do if you're going cold is to definitely nurture, strengthen, and warm up your emails and make sure that they are strong and they're easily able to get through. Outside of that, I think the best practice is really to make sure that you're cleaning that list. Make sure that your list isn't hitting spam people who are going to say unsubscribe, who are going to say like this isn't something I signed up for. You don't want to have those negative signals.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, for sure. All right. So you talked about Reddit and Quora. We actually have two questions that are kind of related to this. We can tackle both of those. How do you recommend using Reddit or Quora to acquire emails when they shut down marketers or limit ad capabilities?
Yeah, so on Reddit, you can definitely run ads. It's one of my favorite channels to run ads today. I think it has a great cost per lead, cost per contact right now, especially if you're running like remarketing ads where the folks find you through your own platform and then you're running remarketing ads over there. The other way is to actually organically create content on the platform. So when you're there, you're not going there with the intention of selling and driving people to sign up for your newsletter. You're there with the intention of adding value. And then from that, you might have a reference within your comment, within your response that references your newsletter. Or you're going to have a link on your actual Reddit profile that has a link directly to your newsletter sign up page. So those are the types of things that you should be considering. But the priority on these platforms 100% of the time is to add as much value as possible so you don't get banned, you don't get blocked, you don't get kicked off. And if you do that, you will find that some of these platforms can break your list because they'll drive so many signups that you'll be surprised how many can come from just one single post.
Oh wow, yeah, no, that's nice, and it's funny. You already started answering the next part of this question, which was just that these subreddits, Reddit is notoriously harsh for putting links into posts. So they were asking, while adding value into the community, even without a single link to sign up, does kind of ruin hours, weeks of effort. So what do you suggest, like, especially if somebody has already done this, they didn't see your session first, what should they do to
Yeah.
get repaired?
Yeah, when you're already banned, it can be very tough. I think you have to start from the ground up and create a new account. But when you do get that new account, you want to warm up the account. What does that mean? It means you're going to try to build up karma. You're trying to build up a reputation on Reddit as not a marketer, not a spammer, not somebody who's just going to plug a bunch of links, but somebody who goes into different communities and creates content that is worth giving that upvote to. That might mean dropping jokes, dropping references to things that the community would understand and adore just to get those upvotes. And then after you get those upvotes, after you have demonstrated that you add value, 1 for every 5, you might be okay dropping in a link. And I know that's going to be hard for some people because we want to immediately show, oh, but I'm dropping my link every single minute of every day. But that's a fast track to getting banned.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, restraint. It's hard for marketers, right?
100%.
Totally. All right. So the next question we have is we want to use AI more, but not sure where to begin. What is the best first move?
Yeah, the best first move is to learn about some of the most basic and like straightforward tools. Like ChatGPT is an immediate one that I would encourage folks to download and sign up for. And then treat it like an intern, treat it like an assistant. Ask it to do things that you would typically ask your marketing assistant, your marketing colleague to do, and just see whether or not it can do it. You might be pleasantly surprised at how close it can get to being good. And then you apply your own expertise, your own personality, your own thinking, your own unique point of view to what it does and take it to the next level. That would be my first suggestion. Download, sign up for ChatGPT. I would encourage you to get the paid plan, use that and tinker. Then from there, start to tinker with some tools, whether it's HeyGen, whether it's 11 Labs, whether it's distribution.ai, one of those other tools that you can really leverage to go further with your marketing efforts.
Nice. Okay, great. Yeah. Hopefully that answered your questions, folks. How do you effectively filter out hallucinated content or information you may get when conducting your deep research? I hear you on scaling research, but is there a script or something you can run to test validity of links? For example, not just that domains exist, but that they contain the cited information or stats that you're looking for.
Yeah, so when it came to ChatGPT 3.0, like 4.0, et cetera, there was a lot more hallucinations. The most recent versions with the deep research, from what I have seen, the URLs have tended to be quite credible. Now, when it comes to where do they get the stats from and where do they get the data from, I believe that there is not a current point with AI that I have seen across all LLMs that do not still require that human touch. I think every human should still be augmented by AI. I think that we need to still be the people who double check it. And that's why I think humans still should continue to have roles in all of this. I think the AI should just let us do it faster. So I think you have to double check all of your work, no matter what, 100% of the time, to make sure that what you are getting and what you are seeing as the output is still true and valid. But I would say that the accuracy levels that we're seeing today are way better than they would have been in January. And today is the worst it ever will be for the rest of our life.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Honestly, it is so much better than it was even just last month, right? All right. So in this, I have a thought here because, like, knowing how many jobs are being taken by AI, right? Like, this is kind of where you started. How do you see the role of a marketer kind of shifting in 2026?
Yeah, I think that the biggest shift that's going to occur is that marketers now have to rely on two things that are uniquely human. One of those things is taste. Humans have taste, or at least some of us do. Some of us have bad taste. And that's going to be hard, right? Like, it's going to be hard for those who don't have taste to be able to apply that skill set to the craft and to what we do. Another thing that marketers can do is really know the human side of marketing. That could be personality wise, it could be understanding your customers better, it could be having unique insights that an AI doesn't have, it's creativity, it's those things. So I believe in the future, the path for marketers is really to double down on the things that make us human. And by doubling down on the things that make us human, it will make you irreplaceable. So you apply that with AI, and I think you get very magical outputs.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So I guess, knowing a lot of our leadership is just assuming they can steal our jobs. How can marketers really kind of prove their value to leadership to not only stay employed, but actually to be seen as an essential part of the organization's success?
The best thing any marketer can do today to make sure that they are able to not be replaced is to get as close to revenue as possible. You have to try your hardest to show that your outputs, your efforts, the things that you do are having an impact on revenue, pipeline, and results. It's easy to get caught up in open rates. It's easy to get caught up in click-through rates. It's easy to get caught up in traffic, impressions, all of those things. But what actually matters is whether or not you are driving revenue. So if you don't have access to the data that connects your work to revenue, make it a priority before the end of this year to find a way to get it.
Beautiful. Yeah, I feel like that's advice we've been giving for a very long time. So now it just feels like it's even more urgent to do it right now, right?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. All right. So we've got someone asked a question of, like, how does this fit into the SEO conversation? And I think this is kind of tailwinding somebody else's of, like, what will content marketing look like in a year when nobody's leaving Google or ChatGPT to get information?
Yeah, so I think in the future, search and discovery is still going to be real. However, the way in which we experience that stuff is going to be very, very different. The AI is essentially going to go out and scrape and crawl all of the different platforms. And we just, as marketers, need to make sure that our sites are crawlable and that the brand connection, the human connection that we have with our customers is stronger than ever before.
Totally. All right. Awesome. Well, I hate to say it, but we are at the end of our time for this session. So thank you so much to all of you for joining. If you haven't done so already, please do make sure to participate in the poll on the right of your screen. You'll also find a free offer pinned to the chat. And the deck for today's session is going to be available to you, and the AI recap as well